Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 52 units of real estate. So today I want to talk about a new construction BRRRR that I've been trying to do. But to be honest, given the interest rates, it's hard for these properties to cash flow. So, full disclosure, these properties are going to be probably cash flow negative given today's interest rates. So what I was trying to do was I was trying to buy new construction around Huntsville, Alabama, and through like Lennar, D.R. Horton. There's a lot of big builders out there, and what I learned was if you buy these properties quote unquote cash, and by cash it could be money you have, or you can get a line of credit and use that line of credit like a HELOC to basically buy it cash. So if you bought it cash, they would lower their price by about 10%. So for example, the sales price is about $330K, and if I bought it cash, they would discount me to $300K. And typically new construction, when you buy it, you're kind of buying it with instant equity on top of that. So even though you're buying it at, let's say, $330, they appraised for around $350, because every phase that they release, they typically try to raise the price slowly over each phase. So what I was trying to do was, well, I'm basically baking in $50,000 of equity by, number one, paying quote unquote cash using a HELOC or actually cash, which would lower the price by $30K. And then when I buy it day one, it's worth about $350. So I bought for $300, it's worth $350. So what I would do is I would buy using a line of credit, for example, or if I had cash. But for me right now, probably line of credit, buy it at a discount, close fast, and then get this property rented out as fast as possible. And from there, I would basically find a commercial lender. And this is where it gets a little creative, but they have a commercial lender that can do 85% loan to value, cash out refinance. So it's very rare to find lenders that offer this, but the caveat is if they do allow 85% loan to value, cash out refinance, they will lower your amortization schedule. So your amortization will be over 20 years or 25 years instead of your typical 30. So your payments can be a lot higher, right? So, conceptually it does work, because I put in 300, I rent it out for, let's say, 2,200, and it's worth 350, and I would do a cash out refinance and do 85% loan to value and pull out my initial $300,000 into the deal. And now I own this new construction with $0 in the deal, right? So basically it's buying with quote unquote cash. You get a $30,000 discount. You're going to rent it out for, let's say, around $2,000. I think 2,200 is kind of the max. And I don't have to renovate it because it's brand new. And once it's there, I'm going to basically engage a commercial lender to do an 85% loan to value cash out refinance, right? So I'd basically pull out my money, my 300 I put in using my line of credit. Let's say it takes me like 2-3 months to rent it out. Once it's rented out, I'll do a refinance. It all takes 2-3 months altogether, and I basically pull out my money, my initial $300,000, pay up my line of credit, and now I own this deal with $0 out of pocket, right? So that sounds great conceptually, right? But the problem is these aren't going to cash flow, right? So in order for this to work, interest rates kind of have to be like 5% or like around 5%, and it cannot be amortized over like 20 years, but maybe like 30 years. So for me, like, it sounds cool, but the numbers just don't pencil out. Like, had it been 3.5% interest rates when I was buying in Huntsville, Alabama, like, this new construction BRRRR would have worked at 85% loan to value. So I kind of ran the numbers, and basically I think the rents, I was being generous, was $2,200, and assuming 85% loan to value, which is $300,000 loan, amortized over 20 years at a 8% interest rate. I think the monthly mortgage is not including property tax, not including insurance, not including HOA, not including property management fees, not including CapEx or maintenance. It's already like, I think, $2,500. So out the gate, you're just like negative $300 at least, right? At least. So I kind of explained that to my realtor, who's obviously trying to push me to buy it because, they just want their commission, right? And they don't run the numbers. And I was just like, well, this makes absolutely no sense because it's cash flow negative. Now, like, I don't advocate for buying cash flow negative real estate, right? Like, it doesn't make sense unless, like, you just make so much money through business that you just want a tax write-off, in which case maybe. But even then, like, even if I made a lot of money through business, I preferably wouldn't want to buy cash flow negative real estate. For me, that's at least break even, right? And then my benefit is the tax benefits. So, it sounds, I think, great conceptually, but I kind of ran the numbers to see, okay, how does new construction BRRRR work at 85% loan to value, cash out? So basically, the interest rate would have to be around 5%, and the amortization would be over 30 years. And at that point, this would just break even, right? So if interest rates ever do drop to 5%, and these more creative commercial lenders are still offering 85% loan to value, 30-year amortization, then I would buy these all day, right? They have to at least break even, and over time, maybe hopefully rents go up and you get their appreciation. But for me now, like, I don't want negative cash flowing properties. I don't want alligators. So that's kind of how I do my new construction BRRRR. So, overall, it's possible, but it's going to be cash flow negative. So it just makes no sense to me. So now kind of part two is, how do you run the numbers on these new construction properties? So, for me, it's pretty like simple math. So let's just say, for sake of this example, you buy it for $300,000 and you put 25% down. So your loan's going to be 75% of that. So I can't do that math off the top of my head, but that's roughly around, maybe let's just call it, you're putting $70,000 down. So your loan's $230,000. And if you're 30-year fixed, your interest rate's probably going to be like 7.5%. So you just basically punch that into a calculator. What's 230,000 and fixed over 30 years, interest rate 7.5%, and it's going to give you your monthly mortgage payment, which is just interest and principal, right? So let's just say, once again, I'm making this up. Let's say it's just $1,500, right? Like, that math pencils out to $1,500 for the sake of this example. And so that's just basically your mortgage and your interest, principal and interest. So now for your home insurance, it's probably going to be around, you get quotes, but I would say probably $600, $700 there. So it's about maybe, $60, $70 a month. For property tax, you just can Google it. So like, you can literally look at like whatever county it's in. Let's say Madison County, Alabama, property tax rate. And then, I Googled that, and I think it's 0.0, like, I forgot. I think it's like 0.06%, or whatever that number is. You take that and you times that by your purchase price. So if you take your purchase price at $330K and you times it by whatever the tax rate is, it's public information. There you go. Now you have your next number and divide that by 12. So I think it ended up coming to be like $150 a month or something in Huntsville, Alabama, whatever county that was. And property management will charge about 10%, right? So 10% of your rent. So if your rent is, let's say $2,000, they're gonna charge you $200, right? So, and then HOA is about another $50 a month, right? So you have to ask them, what's the HOA? And from there, you kind of have your basic numbers, right? You have your mortgage, which is principal interest, about, let's say, $1,500. You got your HOA, which is $50. You got your insurance, which is whatever, $80. You got your property tax, which is $150, and then you want some vacancy of, let's just assume, 5%, right? You have some capex, which you get to keep aside, but it should be minimal because it's new construction, right? So you basically just take all those numbers, and then you want to figure out what your monthly cash flow is, times that by 12, that's your annual cash flow, and divide it by your down payment of $70,000, and look at your cash and cash return, right? So like I said, with new construction in Huntsville, Alabama, if you're breaking even, you're lucky. It's more of a long-term play. So that's how I'd kind of approach the deal. So that was kind of a kind of quick and dirty of how to underwrite these new constructions. And like I said, unless you're putting a large down payment down, given these interest rates, they're not going to be cash flowing as well. So you have to put more than like 25% down, or if you're putting a lower amount of money down, then you're going to be okay with breaking even at best or negative cash flow, for most of these properties, right? So can you sustain negative cash flow? And once again, don't recommend you buying negative cash flow properties. So, that's a quick and dirty of how I underwrite these deals. So, had these numbers work for this new construction Burr, I'd be buying these every quarter. Like literally, I would buy one. I'd get a line of credit on one of my high equity single family homes, use that line of credit to buy these properties cash, do a cash out refinance at 85% loan to value. And if these can break even, I think that whole process will take me 3 or 4 months, and I would just buy one every 3 or 4 months, and just scale my portfolio that way. And hopefully overall net, they're at least breaking even, but ideally you want some cash flow, right? So that would kind of be my approach. And don't get me wrong, when this new construction Burr works for me, I'm gonna shout through the roof, right? And I'll share it with you guys, because if I can make money off of it, geez, like there's so much supply and inventory of that. But the numbers have to work, and I'm still searching for a lender that maybe will work with me, right? So because a lot of lenders, they will typically allow about 75% cash out, is what I've seen. Like I know Velocity Mortgage, I just spoke to the head guy recently, and he was just saying that for 1 to 4 units residential, we'll basically do a 75% cash out refi, no DSCSR needed, as long as you have, I think, of over a 680 credit score, and you don't have to show any documents. They're pretty easy, and your interest rate's probably gonna be like mid 7s to 8s, and said they don't care about DSCSR, but obviously at that point it's cash flow negative real estate. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on a new construction Burr, as well as how I quickly underwrite a new construction deal. And like I said, based on my underwriting, it's cash flow negative, and that's what I told my realtor, and she was kind of bummed, obviously. But hey, that's just how the game is, unless these builders want to lower the price, right? Or she wants to drop her property management fee, or I get some type of rental incentive from the builder. Like, it doesn't make sense, right? So anyways, if you want to learn how to buy multifamily real estate with some guidance, check out the mentorship program. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.